It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.
Welcome to EdTech Mondays Nigeria, a platform that facilitates critical conversations on the use of technology for teaching and learning. I am Chinyelu Akpa, your host on the show, and it's great to be back again. This week, we will continue our conversation with our two panelists, our two guests from last week, Professor Folashade Afolabi and Dr. Ahmed Yunusa. And we'll be continuing the conversation on evaluating the impact of technology on higher education with a deep dive into infrastructure, funding, and capacity development. Last week, we established that universities need to do more, thinking about innovative ways to plug gaps around connectivity and power. However, when connectivity is provided, power is provided. Do we have staff who know how to use this technology to support teaching and learning in our higher education institution systems? Are the staff on the ground properly trained to use technology to support themselves and also get out the best learning outcomes from their students? And that is where we're starting the conversation this week.
I love the fact that you mentioned that now that let's assume these facilities are now in place, how do we manage the capacity building? Or how do we even bring capacity building into it? Yes, so it is very, very important because it's just like you have somebody teaching a particular course or teaching how to use a particular device, and you bring something new into the system. So it is, and you want that same person to face that new thing. What about the prior knowledge? So prior knowledge is something that should be considered when bringing in something new. Once there is an alignment between that new technology and the prior knowledge of not just the users, but the teachers, then you will see innovative solution coming out of it. So, and I can speak for my university. University of Lagos, of course, we have a vice chancellor the vision is trying to have a university that is future ready. So, when this collaboration comes, when the product of this collaboration comes to the University of Lagos, of course, it usually comes with a train-the-trainer workshop. I will give you an example of the fabrication lab, which I manage. It is a lab that was donated by the French Embassy in Nigeria, right? So we have a team trying to address climate change, and then that collaboration led to the donation of that fabrication lab. So what happened was they asked the University of Lagos to provide them with the space, and they equipped the lab. Now, they didn't just equip the lab and left, right? We, the managers, were taking through series of trainings, both in Nigeria and even abroad, on how to use these technologies. And do you know what is happening now in the lab? I have my ambassadors who are made up of just 200 and 300 level students. I like working with lower level students because I don't just impart knowledge, I also bond. That relationship is created. And these students, they face problems and they try to bring a reality from it. Gone are those days where you do drawing and it turns on your laptop. Now we have a hub, an innovation space that can help you print your drawing, just like you print what you type on your Word, in your Word, Microsoft Word on the paper. Now we have 3D printers. We have CNC machines. Like if I draw a car, I can actually 3D print that car. If I have a drawing of the brain of a human, I can actually 3D print that and then interact with it. This wouldn't have been possible if this train-the-trainer workshop or series is not in place. So it is something that is very, very important when talking about new technology.
Thank you for having me again. I want to talk about capacity building. Capacity building is very, very important and is the heart of everything, even technology and then teaching itself. And when you look at University of Lagos, which is a future-ready university, that is our slogan. At the Distance Learning Institute, we have gadgets. And what we normally do, we normally have a train-the-trainer we train our facilitators, we train our e-tutors on how to use technology to enhance teaching and learning on the learning management system. And we don't do that alone. We have two platforms. We have asynchronous and synchronous. Asynchronous is meant for students that are less privileged, for them to have what we call parity of esteem, so that they will not be disadvantaged. For those ones that are buoyant and they are economically balanced, they use synchronous platforms. So how do we marry these together? We marry this together through the training given to facilitators and also to our e-tutors. Let me cite another example where Nigeria is trying to implement a new curriculum now, both at the primary level and at the secondary level. And in the curriculum, there is data science, cybersecurity, and then artificial intelligence. Who are those that would teach all these courses? Is it the same teacher, that passed through colleges of education years ago? Some of them finished maybe in the 80s.
When there was no AI.
When there was no technology. Or when we have indigenous technology and you want them to implement AI, to implement cybersecurity, to implement machine learning and data science. So it's like we are putting the cart before the horse. In Nigeria, we have policies that are okay, but implementation, this with capacity building. If we don't build capacity, and these students will migrate from primary, secondary school to our higher institutions. It means they will be deficient in some certain things. So it's only those pupils that are able to go to private institutions that will have that advantage. So what are we now, in terms of equity and equality? It means if someone is deficient in one, they will not be able to compete favorably with their counterparts. So capacity development is very, very important.
So thank you so much, Professor Folashade, for this. My question now would be around the spread of this capacity, development, because I don't have a very balanced conversation here. You both are from Lagos and are in Unilag, and you have all the attention and easily, right? What is the fate of a university lecturer in, maybe in Taraba, Adamawa,
Oyo State,
that does not have the same partnerships that you have, Dr. Ahmed? Because you're talking about partnerships, like you can just walk into the market and score these partnerships. But what happens to a university lecturer who is in Taraba, who is at the border of Nigeria and Cameroon? Are we doing enough to understand that partnerships will not be as easy as it is for you in Lagos, for those in Taraba and in Adamawa and in Benue? And understand that we need to look for systems, not just providing money, but providing a system that takes care of capacity development, accompanying whatever technology. Because I dare say that you might go to some of these universities in these far-flung areas and you'll find the technology available, but you don't find people who can use the technology. So how can our systems evolve into a system that is holistic in how it's providing support for the staff on ground to ensure that, be you in Unilag, Uni Taraba, Uni Abuja, or anywhere else in Nigeria, your lecturers, your professors, your doctors on ground are getting the same level of EdTech adoption training that will support them to use technology to then support their students and make them future ready.
That's a very good one. And to answer that question, I first want to acknowledge what you said. That is very, very true. And you see, when these funds come from these funders, there's usually something like a clause attached to this fund that we want to see the impact, right? Not just the solution. We want to see the impact, especially as it's related to the underserved communities, right? Good. Before you even have access to these so-called fund or grants, I want to talk from the perspective of grants now. You have to do what we call, in the formation of your team, right? In the formation of your team, you have to be inclusive in nature. When I say inclusive, gone are those days where we just have male looking for grants. No, if you pass that type of grant now, it might not scale through. So inclusivity is very, very key, right? And when we say inclusivity, it does not stop at gender. Yeah, she mentioned equity and equality. That's also very key. Now we want to see solution come from collaboration between university, not just from the West alone or from the East alone. We want this region to also participate.
I wish our listeners could see my face.
Yeah. We want to address a problem. It's a national problem. I want to see a lecturer from UNILAG, a lecturer from BUK, a lecturer that's Bayero State University, a lecturer from Ales Ekwueme University, a lecturer from JOS.
But that's not the reality, and that's what I'm still honing. That's what I'm still saying.
Yeah, it is happening.
It's not what is happening.
Yeah, it is supporting. It is to an extent. And I can quickly wrap up with this. It is to an extent. I mentioned the Fab Lab that was donated to the university, right? The French embassy did not focus on Lagos alone. They distributed it such that the nation is in a way captured. We have one in Unilag, Ibadan, Bayero State University. We have in JOS. We have in Kano. The innovation hubs are free to all. So if I have anybody that needs this facility around Lasu in Ogun State, they can easily come to Unilag. They've been coming and we've been assisting. The centers are meant to provide this assistance. So that's to an extent. That was what I said, to an extent. It is. But of course,
thank you very much. If I may add my voice to what he has said, it is right now that the gown needs to move to the town. What do I mean by that? There should be a kind of collaboration between the society and then the academic mix. So what I mean by that is that I always work with disadvantaged and the vulnerables. And I find that the government is doing a lot, but that a lot is not enough. So what we normally do is we always have what we call community of practice. I've been to areas where we find out that people doesn't even have exercise book to write. It's as bad as that. In the northern part of Kwara State, they cannot. What we do is that we source for partners. We source for those that can distribute exercise books, pencils, uniforms, all these technology gadgets to these children, and then so that they will feel a kind of sense of belonging. Then in our university, I appreciate what that fund is doing. You cannot alone or just put your people in the same university together and win that fund grant. There must be inclusivity. Lecturers from different universities must be part of your team members. Then you must have a mentee. Then that mentee, you are training that mentee to be like you. And also those universities that are disadvantaged or that are not yet level up to the level of the first generation university, they can also benefit. Then there is need for government to appreciate what lecturers are doing in terms of their remuneration. You see, when you are less remunerated, you won't have the urge to do more. But when you have remuneration that is commensurable to what your other people are taking, you'll be happy, to do more to the society. There was a time we went to the northern part of Nigeria to work to impact and collaborate with other universities. They really appreciated what we did. And we find out that the situation report that we got after we left was quite impressive. They started doing things in the right way. And also appreciate the policy of open and distance learning now that our government is doing. It's driving technology. in all these universities. But as I've said, our government needs to do more, and the society also needs to do more.
Thank you so much, Prof. and Dr. Ahmed Yunusa. And in our parting words, and being people who are in academia, what are some, and we have just 1 minute for this, what are some of the straight arrow recommendations that you give to the HEI, higher education institutions ecosystem in Nigeria, on practical ways they can use technology to improve teaching and learning, regardless of where they are? If you were the Minister of Education, what would you advise the university community, what would you advise the higher education community to do as something that might work, or that they want to look into, that would improve EdTech adoption in our higher education institutions? So just 1 minute.
Okay, so I would advise employing assistive technologies or assistive tools, like incorporating AIs, the use of AI to teaching and learning, right? Gone are those days where you hide your textbook and your materials from students. Release it to them. Let them have prior knowledge of what you want to teach. Then come to class and teach. And then you interact. That's called flipped classroom. So we use flipped classroom instead of hiding your materials and all those things. So assistive technology like the use of AI and some other things. But I always advise that while using that AI, especially for students in STEM, we still want you to have that solid understanding of your physics, math, and other things. Yeah, AI is there to assist. The foundation is also very, very key. So assistive technology is the way forward. The incorporating assistive tools into teaching and learning will go a lot to address your question.
Yeah, thank you very much. If I'm the Minister of Education in Nigeria today, the first thing I would do is there will be a total overhauling of the curriculum. We'll redesign the curriculum of Nigerian education system at the higher level. And how do we do that? It must be an evidence-based curriculum. That's what people will see. That is what we want to see, so that our graduates that we are producing, they can go straight into the workforce, and then they will be employed, and they can compete favorably. We see what China is doing. So we need an evidence-based curriculum. So that is what we'll first do. Then, as we are doing that, we will do capacity development. We will build capacity so that lecturers that are coming in can fit into that curriculum. Do that curriculum. They will be able to implement that curriculum effectively. Then, infrastructure, there will be a higher percentage of the budget on technology infrastructure development. If you marry the three together, you find out that the education system in Nigeria will definitely change. Then all the stakeholders, NGOs, external ones, we are going to group them together. They will come into the education system of Nigeria. Then we will do it together. Both the government, the public sector, individuals, parents, even the students, they must have a voice in the curriculum. Doing that, find out that education system in Nigeria will definitely change for better. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. and Doctor, for doing justice to the conversation this week. I don't know about you listeners, but it has been a loaded episode this week on EdTech Mondays Nigeria. And I'd love to hear from you. What do you have to say on all that we have discussed this week and even last week? And remember, if you are either a parent or a guardian with wards in our higher education institutions in Nigeria, do you think these institutions are doing enough to support these learners using technology? And if you are an undergraduate or postgraduate or a recent graduate of a university in Nigeria, it's time to rep your school. Let us know, is your school doing enough around technology adoption to support you with learning? Are you learning online? Are you learning virtually? Are you taking assessments online? Are you taking lectures online? What is the experience? Is your school doing enough, or is your school doing nothing at all? We'd love to hear from you. Send us an SMS or a WhatsApp message through 0703 165 0809 or 0706 402 0742. Remember, we also have a very active Telegram and WhatsApp platform, EdTech Mondays Nigeria. Search for us and continue the conversation. And in case you know anyone who missed this episode, do not worry, we are on Spotify, EdTech Mondays Nigeria, and you can watch us on YouTube at CC Hub Africa. Until I come your way, same time next week, I am Chinyelu Akpa. Keep using technology to push the frontiers on education. It's bye for now.
It's time for EdTech Mondays, brought to you by MasterCard Foundation and CC Hub.